Good evening and welcome to the City of Douglasville Planning Commission meeting. I am Francisco Artley, the chairman of the Planning Commission. The other members of the Planning Commission are Keith Burnett, the vice chair, Natalie Fegan, Nathan Zachary, Ralph Benton, and Mark Van. The staff members are Shayla Reed, Community Development Director, Lynn Woodward, Staff Attorney, Dana Gray, Senior Planner, and Chelsea Tubbs, Planner 1. There are a few protocol items I need to make you aware of before we start the meeting. Please listen closely on how tonight's meeting will be conducted. Keep your comments and presentation on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this commission to make its decision. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You will receive a warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. A second deviation will result in a request for you to leave the meeting and the premises for the evening. Refrain from any applause or comments from the audience. Only one person will be talking at a time, and all comments will be made from the podium after the speaker has been recognized by the chair. Please direct all comments to the chair and the commission, not to the audience or the staff. Please do not applaud or react to speakers, speak from the audience, cheer, carry on a conversation with others in the audience, or disrupt the order of this meeting in any way. Be aware that these hearings are not a debate or an opportunity to ask questions which must be answered by any individual tonight, but are merely an opportunity to present information to the commission. Other than the applicant, no person may speak more than once. The applicant may reserve part of their speaking time as a rebuttal and may speak next and last and may use the entire 20 minutes allotted for the pro side of the application. Other than the applicant, no person may speak longer than 5 minutes. If you have a cell phone or any other electronic device, I ask that you either power them off or put them in silent mode. If anyone wishes to speak tonight, please fill out a form available on the table up front and hand it to the staff before approaching the podium. After the case is called, we will hear next from the staff regarding any relevant information for this case. The commission members will be free to ask questions at any time before the vote on a project. Following the applicant, anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project or just ask questions will have an opportunity to do so. The city ordinance restricts each side to a maximum of 20 minutes, or time may be waived at the discretion of the presiding official. If questions are raised, we may ask the applicant to speak again. Afterward, we will call for a motion and a second, have any necessary discussion. If the matter is not tabled, we will vote to recommend approval or denial of the application. This commission is only a recommending body. The items will be heard by the mayor and council whether we recommend approval or recommend denial. Unless tabled, all items will be heard by the city's mayor and council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, October 17th, and then voted upon by them at their meeting on the following Monday, October 21st. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from September 10th. Are there any need for discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from the September meeting.
All right, do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the motion passes and the minutes from September 10th are approved. Is there any old business? All right. The first case is item 24-340. Hold a public hearing and consider a proposed ordinance to amend section 8.04 of the Unified Development Ordinance regarding the Metro Water District Water Efficiency Code. Staff will now present the item.
Greetings, Planning Commissioners. I am Shayla Reed, Community Development Director. The item before you is a text amendment to the UDO. There are frequent times when the state has certain mandates and requirements that they have required for their municipalities to adopt and follow such codes when it comes to development. So this one in particular is in regarding plumbing, For example, it gives certain standards to what type of materials, to what elevation, whether it be by size, what type of standard. It goes into grand detail. So you'll see that I've redlined the changes. Everything you're, of course, seeing in red is what's being added to the current UDO, as well as anything that is in black is what's currently standing. Of course, anything blue as well is being added or corrected. So with that, it's mentioning anything with shower heads, faucets, things of that nature, what type of materials we are to use for construction of primarily residential, if you see that. So again, this is a state requirement. I did not have room to make edits and changes. The state was very strict in informing me that it is to be adopted the way that they are requiring it. It went before council. Council's aware of it. Council allowed for me to submit those edits over to the state. 60 days passed over the summertime. It's now ready for adoption. Thank you.
All right. Are there any questions from the board?
I just had one question. So the sole purpose for this is because it is a change to the ordinance, so it still has to come before us, even though it's state mandated.
Correct. So the way that it works is that the state requires it for the cities or municipalities for a whole, whether it be county or cities, to adopt this standard. As you know, any edits to the UDO must come before you for recommendation to council. So before council can adopt, you are, of course, the first board or body that we bring it to for comments and questions or any recommendations. However, as I mentioned, the state has told us there are no changes to this document. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this project, ask questions, or make comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there any need for further discussion? Do I have a motion regarding this application?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 24-340.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm sorry?
We had a tie for second. I'll go ahead and I'll second the motion.
Okay. Then I'll ask again. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes, and the application is recommended for approval and will be heard by the city and the council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, October 17th, and then voted upon them by their meeting, at their meeting the following Monday on October 21st. The second case is item 24-310. Hold a public hearing to consider a request for a change in zoning from GC General Construction, PSP Public Semi-Public, and PUD Planned Unit Development to PUD Planned Unit Development for plus or minus 82.2 acres located at the intersection of Rose Avenue and Bill Arp Road in Land Lot 161, District 2, Section 5, Parcel ID 016-102-50017 and 016-102-50043, and Land Lot 162, District 2, Section 5, Parcel ID 016-202-50029. Application by DRB Group, Georgia. Staff will now present the item.
Thank you, Chairman. This item first came before you all September 10th of last month, and it was deferred to tonight. During those discussions, we had conversations with you all regarding our concerns for traffic in schools, and it was deferred to allow for there to be an opportunity for staff to bring back more information regarding those two areas, as well as give a little bit more time for us just to kind of work through there being, I guess, either a recommendation or direction to move forward. So since then, we have met with the school system as well as the company that the city has hired to conduct a traffic study. For the record, the city had already reached out to a company to do a traffic study before this case was brought before. So the timing was allowing for there to be a study to be done regarding traffic in that area because of the high level of traffic that's been seen. So you would have received a memo from me today, as well as it being attached and online now. That memo provides the comments that we received from the school system as well as the company from AECOM. And so the school system provided, of course, there was questions about what schools report or would be responsible for this area. And so for record, Bright Star Elementary, Chestnut Log Middle School, and Douglas County High School are the schools that would be reporting for this area for attendance. The letter that was stated or the comments that was provided from the school is that those schools that were listed or just mentioned are all at full capacity, and that if there was to be any development to occur at that level or size, they would have to have mobile units in order to house those individuals. They are looking to add a school for high school in the county, but they have not identified the location. So that's that for the schools. AECOM provided that in their study, there's a concept study, so they will not adopt this until December of, well, they will introduce it to the council in December of this year, but we probably won't adopt it till early next year. But in that concept plan, it identified the level of traffic for the intersection of Bright Star and Rose. They provided that the level of service is D in the AM and C in the PM. In that memo, it provides to you what the level of services look like when it comes to traffic to help explain to you. I will give you just a little bit of a description of what C provides. In the attachment, you'll see that it says C provides that there is a density that becomes noticeable with with ability to maneuver limited by other vehicles. So as you see, it's kind of in the core of traffic, kind of in the middle portion of it. When you see the range to the far left where it says best to worst, it's directly in the middle. And that C, that's in the PM hours, like right now. However, in the morning hours when we're reporting to work, we're reporting to school, it's in the D hour, levels of D, which will be speed and ability to maneuver is severely restricted by increasing density of vehicles. So as I mentioned, D in the AM and C in the PM. Staff has provided thoughts on what that means. You see that in your letter. However, the applicant has advised me of today they are asking to defer this item or table this item until our next meeting. So with that, I don't know if you would like to open it up for questions or so forth, but I will say that they are present for any other questions that you may have. And for the record, you do not have a November meeting because our UDO provides that there are no November meetings in November, and that is usually because that is an election week. So that if you defer it today, you're automatically deferring it to December. And again, we plan to bring our traffic study to the city council to acknowledge their findings in December.
All right. Is there any questions?
So just to be clear, the applicants asked for deferral
That is correct.
until the traffic study is complete?
That is correct. Well, it will be completed in December, introduced to council, but it won't be adopted in December.
All right. So then do we need to have the applicant come forward, or can we vote to defer it?
Well, we listed as a public hearing.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we still go through the same?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Sounds good. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Good evening, Commissioners. Do I need to turn in my speaker card?
Yes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Futrell. I'm an attorney with Troutman Pepper. My business address is 600 Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia. I am not Ms. Hill, who was before you last time. I am filling in for her this evening, but I am joined by Carrie Smith from DRB Group, who will come up and give comments in just a moment. As discussed, this is a requested rezoning to PUD. We are not going to do a full presentation tonight, as we've already done that for you, but we did want to come before you and address some of the concerns that have been raised so far as discussions continue with this matter. Ultimately, this evening, we are requesting a deferral. As discussed in staff's presentation, there are issues regarding the traffic study. There are also concerns regarding the school system. We understand and respect that these are detailed issues that often require folks getting in the room together to really hash these out. So our request for a deferral this evening is to just give us time to do that exactly, be able to speak with staff, have the folks who did our traffic study for the DRI get in the room and really kind of hash these issues out and get into the nitty-gritty details. We would respectfully ask that we could reserve any time that we have this evening for rebuttal if needed. But without further ado, I'll turn it over to Carrie Smith.
Jonathan, good evening, members of the commission. Thank you for your consideration of our request for deferral tonight. My name is Carrie Smith. I'm here with the applicant team, DRB Group Georgia, and our address is 55 Ivan Allen Jr. Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. I know we've all heard a lot already from Shayla, from her team, as well as the community around concerns related to traffic infrastructure improvements that are needed and ongoing in the Douglas County and Douglasville market. Before we jump into that, just want to give a quick summary of the journey we've been on so far, the needle we've been trying to thread. When we started this back in last October, we knew about the past rezoning that had failed due to pretty stiff community opposition as well as concerns from staff related to the industrial use at the site. We attempted to learn from that experience and immediately engage the community to get their opinions and feedback on a residential proposal, sort of writ large. And through those discussions, we determined that there definitely were, of course, concerns about traffic and about density, but that overall residential was by far a preferred use to additional commercial or industrial in this location. There were concerns voiced around the lights associated with commercial and industrial use, the noise, the heavy traffic from large trucks, as well as just the unsightliness of the proposed use. We held 4 community meetings, one in September, one in February, one in March, and one in May, and have continued to try to engage the community as we headed toward the September 10th Planning Commission date. Our goal has always been to understand not only the past rezoning proposals, but also to hear directly from the community, as well as staff to the extent we've been able to, what type of land uses they would be willing to support as we designed our plan. As Jonathan mentioned, we are proposing redevelopment into a mix of townhomes and apartments with the goal of, making homeownership more attainable in Douglas County and Douglasville, providing a variety of price points and product types that serve both the use as proposed in the character area, the mixed use designation, which does promote multiple uses with the goal of providing a dense, walkable environment, providing a variety of housing types. Determined that a PUD was the best fit to achieve the future land use map goals while also being sensitive to the community feedback that we got, and believe that our proposal is congruent with the nature of surrounding uses as well as the future land use map. In terms of density, while we do believe that our overall density is fairly in line and well suited to the nature of surrounding uses, and that traffic is continuing to be a key concern, we do think that that's an area that we can go back and work with staff to reevaluate the density proposal for the plan that we've presented. In terms of traffic, so when we initiated our rezoning efforts back in January, that started with application for the DRI, Development of Regional Impact. That process unfolded between January and July and included input from city and county staff, as well as Greta and the Atlanta Regional Commission. The DRI study ultimately resulted in an approval with conditions, which we received in late summer 2024. Traffic analysis that was conducted did find that of all the studied intersections, levels of service were not necessarily overly impacted by the additional service from our site, but it did highlight that levels of service at all of the intersections were generally poor and needed improvement. So I think we've all kind of aligned that there is an issue that exists. So as part of our analysis, though, we did want to take a look at what if the site were just developed as is under its current zoning of general commercial, which could support up to 500,000 square feet of, say, retail use. In such a scenario, our traffic engineers quoted us about 20,000 daily trips for a retail center of 500,000 square feet, compared to 5,662 trips for our site proposal. Going into the September 10th Planning Commission hearing, when we received the staff report, while it adequately and accurately summarized sort of the project proposal, didn't come with recommendations or guidance. So our opportunity to take that feedback and incorporate it into our proposal has been basically kicked off as of the September 10th hearings. So over the last 2.5 weeks, we got our homework items, which were to follow up on impacts to schools, fire, traffic. We did have conversations with school system officials who confirmed everything that Shayla said about, you know, schools being at capacity. There will be an impact to the schools. There could be need for additional trailers. We'd like the opportunity to study that further alongside Shayla and her team, as well as the school systems. We also heard some concerns about fire service availability, and so we did speak with the fire marshal's office, identified the fire stations that would be serving the site, and got confirmation from them that, you know, if someone calls, they will answer. They didn't express a capacity issue related specifically to this development, but we would like to continue looking at that as well. And then in terms of the LCI, you know, our understanding of it is that it should allow greater visibility into critical infrastructure needed to better plan for future development and growth, with the results being published at the end of this year. We would really like the opportunity to benefit from the findings of this study and propose to use this interim time between now and December to reassess our plan, as I mentioned, both the density and just how we're proposing the mix of uses to our plan along with staff. We have been able to meet with Shayla and her team in the last few weeks to discuss the proposal and want to thank her for all of her feedback. Really believe, given the chance, we can find a way forward through all of these issues, but you know, we're at that critical moment where we're looking to kind of dig in and see what our options are. So we are just respectfully requesting to defer until such time as we can continue to work with staff on revising our proposal and bring it back to this council for evaluation.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay. Turn your mic on.
Okay.
He's got some questions for you.
I noticed in the proposal that the smaller parcels will be used for green spaces.
That's correct.
What percentage of the total does that make up?
The green space as a percentage of the overall site, I think it's about 6 acres, is that right? I think it's 6 over 82. It's about
So what is it, 8%, give or take?
approximately.
Okay. And then within the site, I mean, that's a lot of acreage. Is there any retail or commercial opportunity?
Not as currently proposed.
Okay, but is that in the plan possibly?
I would imagine that particularly with the apartments, that would be something that we could take a look at for ground floor. That was something that did come up in community meetings, was a desire for additional sort of walkable, mixed-use type retail, cafes and restaurants, and for the community to enjoy.
Okay. Thank you.
If you're taking up 76 acres of apartment pods and townhouses, where would you put retail?
Well, the bottom floor.
The bottom floors?
Yeah.
They would, well, then wouldn't that be in their proposal then, to say it would also
It's not
include?
currently in there.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not
okay,
currently part of our
okay.
proposal, no.
I guess my question is, because you said you did a study on what the residents had been opposed of before, because we've had people that want to come and put warehouses in that area.
Right.
And they didn't want tractor trailers and all that traffic coming through. But when you're looking at putting 793 units, cramming in 82, that spot right there on that corner, that's the same thing, and it doesn't seem conducive to the area that Rosewood area is, because it's a nice area, and to say that, you know, you're concerned about what they didn't want before, but I'm looking at, and I frequent that because I go the back way around Douglas County High School, down Rosewood to get to Sam's Club and Walmart,
Sure.
and to get Academy Sports, because the traffic is so bad on Highway 5 already, and Douglas Boulevard, and getting off I-20, because it backs up on the ramp halfway down I-20. You can't turn right now. So now I'm looking at 793 units on that one corner. How do I even get over to that area now? I would literally have to go down 78 and come down Bright Star Road or something and come up the back way and try to see if I can get across. But then, you know, and I've seen the traffic on Rosewood coming down. It has been all backed up for everybody. And now that we're getting ready to go,
Sure.
you know, the holiday season's already started. So that's why when you say you've talked to the homeowners and you've listened to their concerns about what's been proposed before, but yet you're bringing in something that to me is just comparable to another warehouse, and you're taking out 76 acres of 82 acres of green space. I think that's a concern for me and a concern for others, and, you know, you're looking at according to staff's report, currently at C and D on the traffic report, I'm thinking Rose Avenue and Highway 5 is going to be E and F, if not F the whole time, you know. So I think it concerns me, especially with the amount of warehouses that are already there and the tractor trailers that are already coming up Highway 5, Bright Star Road, Highway 78, off of I-20, connector. Oh, yeah, so you add in, you know, this highly condensed population. How much are these townhomes and apartment pods going to go for? Did it say? I missed that.
For the fee simple townhome portion, they would sell in the low to mid threes, start in the low to mid threes, and then so that would be the 20-foot wide product, and the 24-foot wide product would be in the mid threes, probably 360 range.
Okay. So I just think as you're looking at this, and especially with the schools at full capacity and emergency services, I'm not just talking the fire department, I'm thinking police, I'm thinking an ambulance, I'm trying to get through all of that, because I've seen the police try to snake through on Highway 5, trying to get through.
Sure.
And that's just, and on top of that, from the last time you were here, coming down Highway 5, you have to make a U-turn to go.
Right.
So pretty much everybody's going to start coming down Rose Avenue to,
Yep.
so I think as you
Heard.
look at this, I think a lot of it has to do with the density.
Yep. Yeah, and as I mentioned, that's something that we're definitely willing to work with staff and take the feedback from this discussion into that and work together to, you know, see what we can do to improve the overall density from the perspective of the
Right.
community.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project, ask questions, or make other comments? Please come forward, tell us your name and address. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening. How you guys doing today? All right, my name's Christopher Drummond. I live at 7390 Timberlane Drive. I've been a This is my wife, Gina Drummond. We've been a resident of Douglasville. I've been a resident of Douglasville for 10 years. She's been a resident of Douglasville for 18 years. We've actually got married in this building 10 years ago on 10/4, which is Saturday. And my cousin used to be the planning and zoning person. Marissa Jackson is my cousin. But we lived in Park West, so we're really familiar with the area. And now we live right across the train tracks at 7390 Timberlane Drive. When I used to live at Park West, just trying to get to Hunter Park, I had to create my own little path in the back of the apartments just to cross over into Hunter Park. So there's no walking ability to get there. But the reason I'm speaking, sorry, I'm a little nervous, is because I wanted to, as soon as I heard that they were trying to bring this to the area, I was thinking in my mind a week before I heard about this, I told my wife that there needs to be a park here, an extension to Hunter Park that would cross through. I know if you know Hunter Park, it dead ends right up to the back of this property. If you extend that through to Rose Avenue and extend it to Highway 5, you can actually have a passive green space, nature space, that would alleviate traffic on Highway 5. Because right now, people that live in Rosewood, Fairways, even Highway 5 and Ridge 1, they all have to get in their cars to get to Hunter Park. But if you have an entrance, which is right across Highway 5 liquor store, there's an open entrance there. If you can connect that back to Hunter Park and to Rose Avenue, you can have a place where people can all come together. You're not adding any traffic, you're actually alleviating traffic because people from Rosewood and Fairways, they can actually just walk to the park. They actually walk to that entrance on Rose Avenue and make their way to the backside of Hunter Park. So now Hunter Park will have not only baseball fields and everything like that, but you can use that whole front part into nature trails. You have a flood zone right there close to Highways 5, got a 20-year flood zone area. You can actually make that into a lake. But I just wanted to propose these opportunities to you guys. I've got maps and everything I just like to share with you guys so you can see it. But I just want to read this last part just so you can see. 3 key advantages. It would, and I call it the Robinson Nature Reserve at Hunter Park. So 3 key advantages: enhanced accessibility. The park will become more accessible for walkers and bikers from neighborhoods such as Rosewood and the Fairways. It will also be bikeable from historic downtown Douglasville and surrounding areas, promoting healthier lifestyles and reducing car dependency. So literally, you can go from Town Green and you can walk down to the park if you like to. 2, it would reduce traffic on Highway 5 by providing a convenient and attractive alternative for local recreation. The park will help lower traffic congestion on Highway 5 and improving overall traffic flow and safety. And then 3, it will be increased passive activities. The park will offer more passive recreational opportunities for residents of nearby neighborhoods and apartments, fostering a sense of community and enhancing the quality of life. So I'm like you, I go to Sam's, I get my little bird, and anytime I want to go south of I-20, I have to take Bright Star because I do not want to get on Highway 5. So as soon as I heard this proposal, my heart about dropped. So I just want to let the city know that I think there's a better opportunity of that land use and opening it up to actual usable green space that won't put any strain on the surrounding neighborhoods, but will actually alleviate a lot of things going on there. So
Thank you,
that's all I
sir.
wanted to say. Thank you, guys.
If
Oh,
you
can
want,
I-
you can give your paperwork to the
Yes.
staff, because so they can give it to the mayor and the city council. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and give us your name and address. All right, is there any need for further discussion? Do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion to table item 24-310 until the December planning.
So we're going to table it or defer it? Table, all right.
I second that motion.
Second, all right. All in favor of tabling this item, please signify by saying, oh,
Just want to ask that you ensure that the motion includes a date, just to ensure that you have a tabling attached to that.
December, yeah.
okay. All right. All in favor of tabling this item, 24-310, until December 3rd, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes, and the application is tabled until December 3rd Planning Commission meeting. Thank you. All right. The third case is item 24-338. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from GC General Commercial District to LI Light Industrial District for plus or minus 6.94 acres located at the intersection of Mount Vernon Road and Blair's Bridge Road in Land Lot 671, District 18, Section 2, Parcel ID 06711820005. Application by ARCO Murray, Scott Clancy. Staff will now present the item.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dana Grace, 6695 Church Street. As stated, this is a request for rezoning from general commercial to light industrial for an overflow staging area for the existing terminal site that is located at 1444 Blair's Bridge Road. This will be for storage of trailers only. There will not be any overnight parking by truck drivers. This is presently a vacant site located at the corner of Blair's Bridge Road and Mount Vernon Road, and is at approximately 6.9 acres. If approved for light industrial, it will not comply with the character area designation of Regional Activity Center. However, staff notes that there will be an amendment in the future of this character area, and that concludes. And the applicant is present.
All right. Are there any questions from the board?
It says that it's light industrial to the west. It's hard to tell what that is. Another business of some sort?
It looks like it would probably be some type of manufacturing.
Okay.
You said to the west.
Yes.
Across the street from Mount Vernon Road?
Yeah.
Or is that apartment complex?
No, the apartment complex.
Yeah, that
South.
is in the county. We do have industrial to the east, but in the county, it could be more light industrial.
Okay.
So it would fit in the area because you have industrial to the east and to the south.
And how far from the current terminal?
It is about 0.7 miles away from the existing terminal.
In the south is an apartments, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this by any chance the same company that came before us before asking for it's,
Truck driving school?
yes, the
and-
truck, and they had the facility
Yes.
and the part, it used to be the old paintball facility?
I do not, I think that was,
A little further.
yeah, further down the
Yeah,
street.
but that's what I
Yeah,
was
that
wondering.
is at 1320 Blair's Bridge, where the former paintball place used to be.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
All right. Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Scott Clancy with ARCO Murray, address 730 2nd Avenue South, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55402. Planning Commission, first of all, thank you for listening tonight and taking into consideration our requests for the rezoning change. Thank you to staff for explaining our situation and working with us here over the past months and some more time as previous applications have gone forward with the city. Appreciate everyone's patience and understanding as we work to beautify this area. So team, again, my name is Scott. I'm with Arco Murray. I'm the project manager designated working with the end user, Warner Enterprises, looking to develop this site. I believe we have a site plan that has been shared with. Perfect. That is great. For the Planning Commission's review this evening. So yes, in short, what we're trying to do here is essentially create an overflow staging area for the existing terminal that is located just up the street. This is, again, overflow, so in nature, this is the excess trailers that we understand from our client has a little bit longer hang-around time, if you will. If you imagine with terminal operations, lots of coming and going from semi-trailers, trailers get dropped off, wait for the new order to be delivered, that truck driver shows up, grabs that trailer, and off they go. This is intently designated for some of those longer designation trailer storage areas where you'll see a bit of a longer sit time, if you will. So not as much heavy activity as the terminal operation as you would imagine, hence the overflow in the name. We've got some other beautification that we've been working with the City of Douglasville and Douglas County Department of Transportation. Included in this package, we are looking to improve the area around Mount Vernon Road and Blair's Bridge, adding street lighting, landscaping features, drainage, utility, sidewalks, essentially, again, in the name, beautifying that corner of the area, bringing that up to the city's desires for that intersection of Mount Vernon and Blair's Bridge Road. There's some unique things about the site just to kind of be aware of when you're considering this application here tonight. We've got an interesting easement located just to the south. We have a petroleum line running through this area, one of the largest petroleum lines in the south portion of the country, running all this way over to the coast. So we have an interesting natural buffer already present between this site and the apartment complex to the south. On top of that, we have an additional vegetation buffer trying to, again, create as much of a delineation from this site away from the apartments to the south. With that, of course, we will also be beautifying the area with as much tree preservation as we can, as well as following the stringent requirements of the City of Douglasville for trees, shrubs, landscaping matters, and other general greenery on the site. But in short, we're looking for a large trailer storage area to assist with the Werner Enterprise operations located just up the street, and happy to answer any questions Planning Commission may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Couple questions. Only one regress lane, it looks like?
That is correct, Commissioner. Yes, we have the, working with the Department of Transportation, the deceleration lane coming off of Mount Vernon's Road, given the topography of the site and the amount of intended access for the site. DOT has confirmed that they're looking just for that one axis along Blair's Bridge. It's not intended to create any additional traffic along Mount Vernon as we understand it. So that deceleration lane has been sized with DOT standards in mind.
Okay, and 107 parking stalls. This will be gated, secured?
Yes, sir. Entirely gated, secured, protected, as well as controlled access into the site with security cameras and additional on-site security features.
So is it just a big parking lot, or are there any facilities on it?
That's essentially a good way to put it. It's a large parking lot for just these trailers.
So you said the drivers would drop off their trailer or pick up a trailer, but if they're waiting for a trailer, will they be sitting in this parking lot?
Negative. That is the existing terminal operations up the street of Blair's Bridge Road. That is the central command that is organizing and communicating with the drivers on where they'll be staged, as well as pick up and drop off between those two sites as needed.
Right, because that's what I kind of wondered, if somebody's going to be monitoring this as they go in and out, and, you know, not allowing trucks to park there overnight and leave their truck running. You know, you get one truck, two trucks, 10 trucks, and it gets pretty noisy if they're, you know, parked there because they're waiting. They don't know when they're going to get their trailer. Is there any other questions?
So no, just to be clear, no, the drivers will not take any breaks here.
That is correct, Commissioner. Yes, good questions. This is meant to be we'll call it reserve spot, if you will. The terminal up the street is meant to be the main operations. This is for designated long-term sit time for these trailers.
But there'll still be a yard jockey between this and the terminal?
Yes, as needed to pick up. The chair brings up a great point. The actual control into the site is a telecom. It's not clearly shown because, again, a bit of preliminary plans as we further develop this and go pen to paper on site. That telecom is connected to Werner's operations that is communicating to that main terminal right up the street. So they have controlled access, and along with their security cameras, know who's on site at all times.
I had a question. The egress lane is for approaching from the west, going east, but your terminal is further east. It's in the opposite direction. So your jockey is gonna have to go what route to go around that unit and then come back into it? Unless we were making left turns there and then, without any modifications for a turn lane.
Yes, Commissioner, good question. So, yes, if they are approaching from the west, that lane has to be put in, obviously, given the DOT standards along that county highway. Ideally, and speaking to DOT, we've designed the opening, if you see coming in is a little bit wider as such, to allow that natural turning radius of the trailer and semi coming from the east, i.e. the trailer terminal area. DOT designated us that if we have any traffic coming from the west, which is not the primary use, we still need that deceleration lane, so we are still including that in this operation. And then we have provided that wider opening into the site to account for any traffic coming from the east, i.e. the terminal.
So what is the buffer between this proposed parking spot and the apartment complex there? 50 feet?
Yes, Chair. If you see the wider map, because of course our plans cut off at a certain
Right.
point, we have that 50-foot buffer that is that, again, that petroleum line going on beneath that area. There's an additional landscape buffer that is facing the actual apartment complex, and then we have our landscape buffer. So I think if you, okay, there we go. Looks like we're getting it. So maybe if we drew an actual line dead to rights, we're about 100 feet, I believe. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I'm still, didn't quite get, what I was looking for the egress. So if I'm eastbound, then I have a turning lane, an egress lane that's to accompany the trucks turn there. However, you're staging for your location that is east of this piece of property. So your yard jockey will be bringing the trailers westbound. So the egress lane will have no impact. It is useless to the trucks, that's your main purpose of putting this, so your trucks will come from that main location up to there. So that egress lane is really useless. So what's the plan for egress for the trucks coming from your main facility going westbound to get into that lot?
It's a great question, Commissioner, and thank you for asking. Given the amount of intended use for the site and the anticipated sit time of these trailers, it's not looked at as such a heavy use site as a typical terminal was. So when we shared this information with staff and DOT for the intended use of how much movement of those trailers coming from the east, i.e. the terminal, that the layout of Blairsbridge Road and the turning radius that we have coming into the site was all that was needed in that regard. So there's nothing that was additionally requested to build into Blairsbridge Road, turning from the right lane into this site.
Chair, I have a quick question.
Yep.
What would you anticipate your, trips back and forth per day? Any feeling on that? I think that's relevant.
It's going to be a better question for our client, which we can make sure that we have going into city council. But Ideally, you're looking at an average probably 1 to 5 trips a day, and that's unlikely to exceed that, just given the
Yeah.
intended use of this land.
Yeah, the reason why I ask, because it's like if it's, 20 trucks a day, 50 trucks a day, then turning left is a big deal. If it's, 1 or 2, then it's probably not really a big deal at all, right? So I just thought that was relevant.
Nope, good question, appreciate it.
Any meetings set up with that apartment complex?
We've been actually working with the apartment complex on a few iterations of this site before this. So the owners of that apartment complex have actually been a little tough to get a hold of for coordination. They are aware of this proposed development, and they didn't provide any comments to us.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project, ask questions, or make other comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there any need for further discussion? Oh, we got one. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry. You can fill out when you're done.
Apologies, I don't know the proper protocol for this.
Just give us your
My
name and
is
address and
Victoria
then speak.
Pate, and I live at 2949 Laura Lane in Lithia Springs, Georgia, which is across the bridge and off of South Sweetwater. I'm very familiar with the area that they are proposing, and I'm very concerned about adding additional industrial type usage in that area. Right to, I'm going to try to use my directions, right to the east of this proposed parking lot is already an Amazon staging area, which has heavy traffic at all times of day. It is very difficult for people to come and go to work at all times of day. Sometimes they leave carts on the road. It is a heavy, heavy trafficked road. In addition to that concern is just how this is in line with the proposed plans, the dreams, the visions set forth by your planning commission, or I don't know the right term, but your contract people that you contracted out to do plans for the area, and that have come in and drawn beautiful pictures of green space and such that connect perhaps the Lithia Springs Park with green space and the Sweetwater State Park, which is right down the road, which we can't access by walking already because of the traffic in the area. So I'm extremely concerned about adding more tractor trailer traffic to what is essentially, it is mixed. You've got residential apartment homes, you've got homes, single-family residences just across the bridge that might like, again, to access things by walking or biking. And currently, that is prohibited. And I don't feel like this is going to do anything to help that. So I would love for you guys to consider what we can do to move in the direction of making this a more family-friendly, walkable area and less of a industrial area.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there any need for further discussion? Do I have a motion regarding this application? I can't make the motion.
I'll make a motion, item number 24-338, motion to deny.
Is there a
Second.
second? All right, a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the motion passes and the application is recommended for denial and will be heard by the city mayor and the city council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, October 17th, and then voted upon by them at their meeting on the following Monday, October 21st. Thank you, sir. The fourth case is item 24-339. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for a child care learning home for property R2, single-family residential detached district for plus or minus .95 acres on 6525 East Strickland Street in Land Lot 20, District 1, Section 5, Parcel ID 002-001-50127, application by Michester Incorporated. Staff will now present the item.
Good evening again. As stated, this is a request for a special land use permit for a family child care center for up to 6 children between the ages of 2 and 11. It is essentially an existing 2-story house, which is located in the historic district on 625 East Strickland Street on approximately .92 acres, and it is zoned R2, and the applicant is present.
All right. Is there any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Good evening. My name is Michael Onyurimba from 3875 Powder Springs Road, Suite C, Powder Springs, Georgia. With the property on Strickland Street, we intend to do ABA therapy, which is like a child care center, where we cater more for children under the autistic spectrum, between the ages of 2 to 11. Based on the code, we can only have, I think, 5 to 6 students at a time in that property. There's a warehouse behind it. We tend to convert to an office to service that building. That's all we have.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Just so I'm clear on it, this is a daycare facility, or is this a living situation for, children with certain conditions or maybe under certain circumstances?
Well, yes, it's like a daycare. Pretty much we have the ABA therapy where children, going through development disability, preparing them to be able to enter the pre-care, elementary, and middle school. They usually get approved for 4 to 6 to 8 hours, depending on how much hours they were approved. So we don't intend to keep any child there more than 6 hours.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
I have one. Is this going to be your first facility, or do you have other facilities?
Well, we've been doing this. This is going to be our first facility. We've been in healthcare, home care for 15 years. We have done this, but this is actually our own first facility. We have Michester Home Care. We have CarePro Health System. Also have Neighborhood Medical Associate. So this is going to be our first, directly our own property that will be
You've been in this business for a while.
for years, for over 18 years.
Are there any other questions?
And there's a warehouse behind. We intend to convert to an office.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this project, ask questions, or make comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there any need for further discussion?
I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay.
As a parent of a special needs child who is no longer with us, I love facilities like this, and our community is underserved in this area. I can speak for personal experience, and any development that reaches out for special needs, autism, any of those types of things, I feel like is good for us when it makes sense.
Okay. Do I have a motion regarding this application? Would you like to make the motion?
Yep. So I would like to make a motion to approve item number 24-339.
Second, all right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes and the application is recommended for approval and will be heard by the mayor and the city council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, October 17th, and then voted upon them at their meeting on the following Monday, October 21st. Thank you, sir. All right. Do we have any staff reports?
No, we don't have any staff reports tonight, thank you.
All right. And so then we decide our next meeting is December 3rd. All right. If there is no further discussion, I make a motion, we adjourn.